Hi, I'm Jim Burrows, and I just was tortured by Kara. I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, that's good. How do you like this analysis? Did you know you were coming to
Are my 45 minutes up?
It's so interesting because you have your finger on the pulse of funny, like perfectly. But I also read something in your book. You said somebody told you to smile. Do you know what I'm talking about? And you said, I don't smile. I don't do that.
Well, my wife has always told me, why you look so dour in photographs, and I don't know why. I'm not that kind of guy, but I do laugh. I do laugh when I'm in rehearsal. Genuinely, I laugh at what's funny when the kids are rehearsing, and because it helps them know where the audience is going to laugh and where the writers are going to laugh. So they, if I laugh, their eyes get big and there's a glint in their eyes, and they're happy that they're getting this approval. And so I do laugh. Sometimes I look dour in a lot of pictures, or dour. I'm not sure what I said it before, dour.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what's right, but
I'm gonna go with dour.
Dour, okay.
And you look dour in the picture that you and I took together on the last time we talked at Will and Grace.
I mean, my wife is all up. Smile, for God's sake.
Yeah, because it looks like, so I'm of course smiling like this because I'm like, here I am. I had this great conversation with Jim Burrows. I'm on the set of Will and Grace. This is the coolest moment. I'm happy to be here. So I have this big smile, and then you are looking like, oh, brother, this is really.
But, I don't have to do that very often. I don't have to interview, for promoting my book, I've had to do a lot of these. And it's not in my nature to do these things. So I can't be as affected as an actor can. All my actors, when they do interviews, they're always smiling and everything because they're in front of the camera. That's what they do. That's what they've been trained to do. I have not been trained to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm a guy who's a little uncomfortable doing this kind of stuff. So if I were to smile, it would be, like this, it's forced smiles. So I think that's, the major part of the problem.
Yeah. So it is interesting because you are totally behind the scenes. That's your comfort zone, obviously. Telling the people, okay, try this. Let's see that's great, whatever. So do you get a little bit like, this is the worst part of the book, right? Is that you have to promote it publicly?
Yeah.
Harder than writing it?
It was, when I do it in front, I've had 3 or 4 events in front of an audience, and I'm more comfortable with that than the Zoom or the stuff like that. I had Jason interview me out here, and then Schwimmer interview me in New York, and Billy Gardell interview me out here in front of a crowd. So I feed off that.
Yeah.
But one-on-one, it's
tough.
It's just. I admire the actors and how they have to do this, especially when they go on those, on the
junkets?
The junkets and the, whatever they call the line before the show.
Oh, like the red carpet.
Red carpet.
That's brutal, and I don't think they like it at all.
But they do it and they smile.
Do it. They do and they smile, but I think it belies, is that the word? I think it belies what they actually are feeling.
They're good at it because they're actors.
Yes, totally.
And they act. And I did, if you know my body of work, I acted in 6 or 7 comebacks with Lisa. And so that was very uncomfortable for me because, I'm thinking bullshit, my line. So I don't listen. All good actors listen to the line before. They don't worry about what their next line is. So it took me a while with Lisa, especially in the first show when I had to tell her she was not it anymore. It was very difficult for me because I was looking at her and it's not Lisa Kudrow, it's Valerie Cherish. And I'm not ready for dealing with a fictional character. This was baffling to me. I acted in Summer Stock a few times, and I was an assistant, and I had a scene with a girl named Rita Oakes. I'll never forget her name. And the actors were telling me, you got to kind of lose yourself in the role, but still have a foot in reality. So I was doing the scene with her at one point, and I dropped into that character. I dropped into it for about half a page, and then I was so friggin' scared that I had to get out of that because I didn't have the training to put my foot down in reality. So on the comeback, it was difficult for me. Eventually, I just treated her like she was one of my daughters. I have 4 daughters. So that became a lot easier for me. I never lost the fact. I knew it was Lisa, although I had a foot in reality, but I didn't drop into the character of Jimmy the director, although it was written for me.
How's your overall, like, you know you're successful, so, but even if you know you're successful, it doesn't mean you never question yourself and your abilities or deal with imposter syndrome or whatever, feeling like, who am I? Like, am I that good? I'm going to be found out. I mean, you probably wouldn't, because your career is so long, has such a long span at this point, and so many successes. But do you ever think, like, am I any good?
Yeah, oh, sure, all the time.
All the time?
All the time.
You?
I say, I can't believe this happened to me. I don't know why it happened to me. Look at this. Look at, I have a few Emmys. Look at that. Look at the shows I've done, and I still say, and every show I do, I remember on Will and Grace, I did 246 of them because it made me laugh. I did them all. It made me laugh so hard that I think it added years to my life. I hope it added years to my life. But I still had sweaty palms before every show. Every show I had sweaty palms.
Right.
Every Cheers, every Friends, I was always sweaty palms. And there is this, this feeling in me that says, I don't get it. Am I that good? And I have all these accolades and people want to work with me and everything like that, and I still say, am I this good? So I have that perspective that doesn't allow me to become an arrogant asshole.
It is hard to live with that, but I do think that's just the human experience.
Yeah.
But even the arrogant asshole thinks that, wonders that, but maybe he hides it from himself a little bit better. Whereas you're more aware that you have these thoughts and you allow them to come.
Maybe. I don't know.
You're also, as the director, you nurture people all the time. You're always taking care of everybody else's needs. So do you ever get to the point where you're like, what about me?
No.
Never. Do you take care of yourself? Are you a good self-care giver?
Yeah. It doesn't take much.
What does it take?
Give me a good football game. I'm not, my dad was a voracious reader. He would finish a pocketbook. He used to read mysteries. He'd finish an hour and a half. He was amazing. I don't have that same. It takes me 3 weeks to read a book. I'd much rather sit inanely in front of a television and watch the Yankees or the football Giants, or, I love to read the New York Sunday Times, but football starts at 10 in the morning here and is not over till 9 at night. So the Times suffers.
Even though I know these things make you uncomfortable, you are very good at just telling your stories. you could be quiet and one word answers because you're so comfortable, or like just try to get to the end of a thing. But that's not all what you are or how you are. You know that.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, I guess telling my stories. I am, with my kids and my wife, I don't talk a lot.
You don't?
No.
So like how would they describe you then? Quiet guy?
Yeah. Grunter, the grunter.
The dour grunter?
Yeah, my wife can, I have 3 daughters and she has 1 daughter, so she's a stepmom to 3 and I'm a stepmom to 1. But she can stay on the phone with my daughters way beyond I can.
Well, that's kind of...
Well, I think it's gender.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's kind of typical. I hate to gender stereotype, but...
Yeah. I don't have a son, so...
Right. You don't talk much, but they're fine with it.
I've been that way my whole life.
You're just thinking all the time.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not real verbose. I'm not as articulate as I'd like to be. I have a couple of big words I use, but like serendipitous.
I was going to ask, what are the words?
Yeah, serendipitous.
I like that word.
And uvula. I remember James Lipton, when we did Inside the Actor's Studio with the cast of Will and Grace. We did, he asked me my favorite word, and I said uvula, because I like the sound of it. I'm not as verbose. There's another word I use. I just sometimes am not as articulate. And I'm envious of articulate people. Like Bill Clinton is amazing to me. You never hear or but or and I'm envious of those. A lot of the anchors are that way, and like Anderson is amazing.
Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, he's amazing. How even Don Lemon. I watched him from trying to fill time with the Queen's funeral, and I could never do that. I could never. They just, it's a gift, and I wish I had it, but I don't.
Yeah, I think it's a gift, but also they're also trained. So they take their gift and then they practice the gift.
Yeah, but if I had the gift, I would not. Words would come easier for me.
Don't you think, though, if you had the gift, then you wouldn't end up where you are today? Oh, by the way, I'm not saying you don't have the gift.
I don't have the gift. I don't have the gift of gab.
But what I'm telling you is you can't tell when you're doing these interviews, is what I'm saying, because I know that you're not a very talkative guy.
They snip.
No, I'm talking to you right now. It's unsnipped.
But I mean, you can snip.
I can, but I don't have to, is what I'm saying. So I'm here, I'm witnessing it live, unsnipped. So even though I know you feel like you're not comfortable and you're not a talkative person, I know you're not a talkative person, but you are able to do this when called upon.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, I was talking to a group of people the other day and I couldn't think of the word dynamic. And, maybe it's my age, maybe, I don't know, but I wish that was on the tip of my tongue, so.
I get it. I do think that almost all of us, and I bet Bill Clinton too, I have to believe he has moments where he can't think of the word. But some people, I know what you're saying, and it would be nice to be able to have that gift and just go. That is a skill. Like to be able to talk when nothing's going on as a commentator, very few people can do that, I think.
And, and not going, and because is your brain is trying, your brain's ahead of your mouth, and it's trying to think of what to say.
But interestingly, your brain can do that, and you don't have to say So I think we say because of an awareness that there's a pause, and then we feel self-conscious about it.
You have to feel the pause?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if my kids used to use like a lot.
That's the same thing.
Yeah, like a.
And then once you do it, it's hard to get out of the habit.
I don't use like that.
Yeah, I do, and I need to slash that. It's funny, when I started the podcast and I would listen to myself, it was a wake-up call. I have to stop this. Another thing I do that I should stop is, you haven't noticed it, but I've done it with you too, is, because I'm self-aware, I'll say, yeah, I'll respond like that because I'm with you and I want you to know that I'm with you. I'm not consciously thinking of that. But you can't do that on a podcast. You really shouldn't do that when you're doing a formal interview, but you do it when you're talking to people in real life. But nobody notices the things as much as you do anyway. How do you like this analysis? Did you know you were coming to
Are my 45 minutes up?
Not quite. What was one of the best periods of your life?
I think when they've all been pretty good. I think when Cheers became a hit. I mean, that's business. The birth of my first daughter. I mean, that's personal. Personal, my kids. My kids being born, I mean, when I married Debbie, that's personal. But professionally, I think when Cheers, I think the first Emmys, when we won 6 or 7 Emmys against the last year of MASH. And that was, to me, that was just a highlight that I don't think, I'll ever, because that was vindication for me. That was when my balls were fully attached to me. Because it said that Glenn Les and I had created our own show. It wasn't Taxi, where there were Emmy. I won 2 Emmys on Taxi for directing. But that was created by other people. This was a show created by us out of our loins. And the boys were gracious enough to give me co-created credit on it. And I'm eternally grateful to them for that. And to be that night was fucking amazing. We had a party after it. We had an Emmy party. And everybody was just, we all had such knockus. You know the phrase knockus?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Just, we were the underdog. And we were this little show that came out of nowhere. We may have been 50th in the ratings for the whole year. But the press loved us and the network loved us. And the industry loved us. And I know what it feels. That's probably how Abbott Elementary's feeling now, or Ted Lasso. That's a great feeling. So those years on Cheers were just incredible.
What was one of the lowest points?
I think when I was fired for not shooting a K-Pom. So that was the first time I was fired. It was not really fire. Well, fire. Yeah, I'd call fire. I mean, I finished out the year on Phyllis, but I was not asked back the second year. So in essence, and when my movie didn't do well, I hadn't been that depressed, and I was depressed after that.
How did you get past that?
Cheers.
Oh, so the timing.
I was in 81.
If you could get to know one particular person better, spend more time with one person, alive, somebody who's alive, who would you choose?
Wow. There's people I'd like to have lunches with.
That's good.
I don't know.
Who would you like to have a lunch with?
Albert Brooks.
Oh, yeah. Have you never? Have you met him?
I've met him. I find him fascinating. I know Larry David a little bit. I'd love to know him better. That's a tough question.
You just answered it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to know, no, that's not. I wanted to know, I was a big fan of Tubin's, and my wife arranged me to have a lunch with him and arranged for me, and I had a lunch with him. It was great. You know, I'm sorry what happened to him, but, you know, that was interesting because he's a golfer too. Tiger Woods.
So I feel like wait, she set it up for you, so could she set up other lunches for you? Or can you, or somebody?
It's just...
You just wouldn't do it?
No.
I feel like it would be so flattering, though, for them to get a request.
I saw Albert the other night. He was at a table with Larry David and Rob Reiner and their wives. And I didn't want to be at that table.
Why? Intimidating?
Oh, my God. To me, Albert's the funniest man. And Rob is really funny, and Larry is gold, so... I would want to have been the fly on the wall with no vocal cords.
Yeah. But it sounds to me like it's time for you to talk to Rob and get a lunch with Albert Brooks.
Yeah, maybe.
I think Albert Brooks would enjoy that.
Yeah. But, you know, I'm fine with this pillow right here, my head back, and...
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I know. I hear you.
And it's football season.
Yeah, and it has just begun.
It's just begun.
All right, so I'm going to wrap up with one last question. But I'm going to give you 3 parts of the question. One is, who knows you best, and how would they describe you?
You know, daughters know their dad. You know, they know him. I mean, if you talk to my girls, they would say kind. Sweet, doesn't talk a lot, but when he gets angry, you got to listen to him. And then there's a couple, Lynn and Frank Dines, who have been friends of mine for 40 years. Lynn was the best friend of my first wife, and they're still my friends, our friends now. So Frank's a shrink, so I'm not sure diagnostically how he'd describe me, but he would, I don't know what he'd say. He'd say a wealth of talent, but likes football too much. Or, because we watch football on Sunday together. Or, he'd probably say I was a sweet man.
Okay. Part 2 is, what do many or most people not know about you?
Wow. Well, most people know I'm a softie because I cry really easily. You know, I cry at happy moments and sad moments. So, I don't know, because I think I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't know what I can't answer that.
Mm-hmm. You know, just jumping in with the flip side of not being somebody who is a verbose and eloquent speaker, or whatever we were talking about before, is you're a very thoughtful person, right? So sometimes I'm asking you questions and you really give it true, honest attention and thought. I really appreciate that. And somebody who's constantly just speaking, they don't necessarily have that.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be a little bit of a trade-off. That's a very positive thing.
Oh, good.
That comes from not being You didn't know you were getting my feedback here. But you know what I mean? It's something that comes with being the quieter person.
That I am. But they know I'm a quiet person.
Yeah. And how would you describe yourself?
Happy, successful, and kind. And I thought of something most people don't know about me. That's what you asked. You know?
Yes.
That I'm having a good time not working.
Thank you so much for the second talk.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry if I tortured you with, I'm not sure what. What was most torturous about it?
No, it wasn't torture. You know, I said a lot of things that, you know, are, there's the, you know, a lot of things. Yeah, it wasn't torture, not at all.
Okay. I'm glad, because that's not what I'm trying to do at all. But I already knew before that you're behind the scenes. That's what you like to do. I have to tell you, before coming, I was like, there are so many amazing stories that everybody's going to want to love to hear. And they've heard them from you on the other shows too. So I'm like, I know these are great stories, but I also want to get to know you a little bit more beyond the stories. Do you think I did that?
Yes.
Okay.
You asked me questions that I haven't been asked before, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Good.
rare that happens.
Really?
Because most people want to know the mundane stories. You know, not mundane, but the stories that have been told. The Andy Kaufman stories, you know, that whole Tony Clifton incident.
Mm-hmm.
And for going to Vegas with the Friends cast.
Yeah.
And that's what they want to know.
But they can read all of those in the book.
And Joe Biden, Loving Will and Grace.
Right. Yeah, I've heard them all from on the shows, and that was after reading the book. But that's why everybody can get the book and hear every single thing.
Yeah.
How do you like this analogy? It's like a fine chocolate that you would see on a pedestal in a chocolate shop in Paris. It looks amazing. That's the famous person, right? It's a celebrity. It's beautiful. It looks great. But really the good stuff is when you bite into it and this liquidy caramel comes out. And it's delicious because that's the real person, and that's what we fall in love with.
I think that's good.